Welcome everybody to Wyoming, Pennsylvania in the 120th District. I'm Brenda Pugh, the state representative in this area, and I am thrilled to have with me today Mr. Tony Brooks from the Wyoming Commemorative Association, who maintains this property.
Correct. Well, it's actually a joint effort between the Wyoming Monument Association, which, believe it or not, is the oldest female historical association in America.
Oh, wow.
Founded in 1841. And then there's another organization called the Wyoming Commemorative Association. And 147 years ago, we started to commemorate the Battle and Massacre of Wyoming. And we did it in a big splash with President Rutherford B. Hayes coming here in 1878 on the centennial of the 1778 battle.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was reading some history on it, and the people that have actually spoken on July 4th when you hold the big event here is absolutely impressive.
They had a really impressive, they had a minor speaker, me, one time in 2006, and I want to give you my speech. So yes, all those speeches, there's 146 of them, and they start with this book, the very first speech that was given by President Hayes, and then all the way down through. So yeah, there's a cast of congressmen and state representatives and historians and presidents of universities that have all spoken over the years.
That's amazing. So can you tell everybody why this site is so special?
So we're on sacred and hollow ground. So from the 40 Fort, or the Fort of the 40, up on River Street and 40 Fort, all the way to the Schooley Farm in Exeter, this would be sacred land.
Wow.
This is where the battle happened. The main part of the battle happened up in Exeter. Fisher Gay, back in 1831 and 1832, gave this land to build the monument. Wow. And the sons and the grandsons of the survivors and those who were killed at the monument tried to build this for decades and decades. They started in, believe it or not, one of my predecessors, Charles Minor, who was on Wilkes-Barre City Council, in 1809 said, hey, let's build a monument. And one of my distant cousins was on that committee, a guy named Oliver Pettibone. His brother, Noah Pettibone, was tragically killed in the battle. Oh, wow. They couldn't raise enough money. Then in 1831, they tried again. Then by 1833, they got enough money to lay the cornerstone. The grandson of Zebulon Butler, Chester Butler, gave the speech as the cornerstone was laid. And the architect was, this is, believe it or not, Thomas Uchek Walters. He was the architect, the fourth architect of the Capitol. He's the guy who built our present-day Capitol in Washington, is the designer of this monument.
That is amazing.
So finally, now the story is very interesting, they couldn't, again, get their act together to raise money, and it took the women. The women came in 1840, that's right, in 1841. They raised enough money, by 1843 the monument was up. Yep.
And it's been here ever since.
Been here ever since, and we have such a wonderful commemoration. I like to tell people it's like walking into a Norman Rockwell painting. You can't
I was just explaining that to the team that's with me today. It's an unbelievable sight.
You can't get more Americana than that, with the band playing all the theme music for all our services, to have the 109th present the Connecticut and the Pennsylvania flag with our colors, the Boy Scouts handing out the leaflets for the speaker, and then the speaker himself or herself who gives a great historical talk.
You even have it right down to where we have people dressed in uniforms, and that are
the
walking
24th
around.
Connecticut Regiment, right? The unit that Colonel Zebulon Butler was the founder of and the leader of. Those reenactment people come out and do, and they do a tribute volley. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Children's, adults, all ages.
I encourage everybody to come out and to see this and experience it, because it really touches your soul.
It really does.
When you're here.
And
you can feel it.
This is the most historic spot in all the Wyoming Valley. And it's wonderful that we commemorate it every year with, oh my God, they say up to 1,000 people come to the event easily.
And people don't realize how full we are, rich in history.
Well, there's so much history, and particularly in your state house district, you just go up and down what they used to call this the Great Road, now Wyoming Avenue. Right, we have the Swetland Homestead across the street. You have Nathan Dennison House. You have the 40 Fort Meeting House. You have the marker where the 40 Fort was on River Street. And when you go over to Kingston, well, you have the beautiful buildings of Wyoming Seminary and the gorgeous eagles on the Market Street Bridge. So you have a lot of history.
They are, and people don't realize that. You know, when you're coming to this area, there are so many things to do in Luzerne County.
It certainly is.
And just the 120th District alone. We have a special tree over here that you guys planted.
We do.
Can we talk about that tree a little bit?
So this is a clipping from the Liberty trees. So all of the colonies during the Revolution had Liberty trees, where they were meeting places for the Sons of Liberty. Well, those trees got demolished or damaged over the years, except for one in Annapolis, Maryland. That tree was regerminated, and now with Pennsylvania America 250 and the Pennsylvania Masons, they are putting a Liberty tree in every single county, all 67 counties in the Commonwealth, and this is the site of ours.
And that's so special, right? 250 years that we're going to be celebrating.
Absolutely, 250 years of America, and I can't wait for it.
I can't either. It's just so exciting. You see the momentum building up and stuff. I actually, believe it or not, sat down and put a couple stitches in a quilt, and I don't sew.
Okay, oh,
which
there
is
you go.
kind of funny, but you have to be part of history. It's
You
part of our
certainly do.
history. And our
I mean, we were
background.
just kids in 1976, right? So now, 50 years later, we'll get the full enchilada.
Exactly. Tony, thank you for coming.
Oh,
and
thank
thank
you.
you for sharing the history of our area and what it means to us, and hopefully everybody else, so we can get people out here to.
Well, it's wonderful, and your role as a state representative and the support that Pennsylvania gives to its history, we certainly appreciate.
Well, that's, and you know what? That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. What, as legislators, what can we do to help preserve history in our communities?
So you're the main funders of the Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission that does wonderful work like those blue historical markers that are placed around the state, and being the support of county historical societies and other historical museums.
So make sure we support those and get out there and do what you
Absolutely.
need. In fact, there's another piece of history coming, I hear, into St. Cecilia's.
Yes, the County Historical Society. So the County Historical Society, we're so lucky that it's the oldest historical society in the state of Pennsylvania, founded in 1858, and finally after 140 some years, to 60 some years, they will have their own place to build a museum, and I applaud their efforts.
It's fantastic. It's exciting.
It's very exciting.
There's just so much going on. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.